In order to prepare for the future of, let's say, agentic payments, for example, you need to have platforms that can work with tokenized payments. We really need the platform today for the future of payments tomorrow.
All right, David, thank you so much for welcoming here in your offices in London. It's great to be here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for joining us for the beautiful weather that we've had this far in Total Places.
It's always one thing in London, though.
Yeah, fantastic. I know we're going to be talking about payments. It's a very dynamic payments market, as well as the rest of Europe. So looking forward to the questions and any information I can convey to listeners today.
Okay, awesome. But before we start, for those who have not had the pleasure of meeting you, just briefly tell me who you are and what you do.
So David Capezza, I lead our risk organization here for Visa Europe. So I have oversight of payments security as well as its resilience across the region. Those are the key priorities. So I'm often looking at fraud trends, tactics that fraudsters are using, as well as technologies that we're using to defeat those tactics, making sure we stay one step ahead always.
Right. Okay. This is a fascinating space to be in because, especially with the advent of AI, we know that the use of AI in the industry is always lagging a little bit because of regulation. So criminals, fraudsters, they're not limited by regulation. They have a little bit of an advantage. So how is the industry and specifically Visa handling that gap that exists between the point in which they can start deploying technology and the head advantage that criminals have?
Of course. So there's a number of different things that I think are important to keep in mind across the ecosystem. So true, within the payments space today, we have more complexity than we've ever had historically. So you have different payment rails, different choice, but at the same time, across all of those payment rails, there's more security. So we're deploying tokenized technology. We're devaluing the data that fraudsters potentially have access to across every one of the 900 million transactions that go across Visa's network on a daily basis. So the scale is magnificent. And then beyond that, yes, AI is certainly moving. The technology is moving at warp speed. But at the same time, we've been working with AI for well over 3 decades. And as a result, we're very well attuned to deploying real-time capabilities that help our customers, our clients, continue to have the edge, in my opinion, in blocking any fraud tactics that are potentially being employed by criminals or others, not only within Europe, but globally.
How is the industry managing this immediacy and how does the real-time capabilities help detect fraud and stop it?
There's always an important aspect in push and pull between human in the loop and automation via things like generative AI and artificial intelligence. I think from a payments perspective, it is important to be grounded in that card payments move at light speed already, right? So we have a lot of experience working with significant amounts of data, global data, and providing real-time indicators already on card transactions. When we look across other forms of payment, whether it's instant payments, faster payments, true, faster payment rails from a clearing perspective, but the fact that we can provide real-time indicators works just as well in account to account. In some cases, with some of our capabilities, we see high true positive rates. We did a proof of concept here with our account to account protect model a couple of years ago, just in the United Kingdom. We saw 54% uplift in the amount of fraud that we can detect. And one of the things I often say about some of these models is they also have explainability, which is critical. Why are we blocking a transaction? Why are we sharing a certain indicator as being highly suspicious or indicative of fraud? That explainability is just as important as that real-time indicator is. Then, of course, our customers and clients can then base their manual rule sets or even automated rule sets around those scores. So we enable real-time decisioning, but at the same time, we also augment any manual operations that a customer or client may have.
How are the new technologies helping reduce the incidence of false positives while still keeping the network secure, transactions secure, and detecting crime and potential fraudulent activities in real time?
Yes, of course. Well, what I liken it to, and you may hear this, is smart friction. So what we understand about friction in the transaction lifecycle is consumer trust is the most critical element of what we do on payments. We want to ensure that the customer, whether it's on the merchant side, whether it's on the payee side, the recipient of funds, or on the cardholder, that they have the experience with the least amount of friction as possible. We also know that customers do like some friction, right? Because it instills a trust and an understanding that, yes, we're watching to ensure that that transaction, where you're sending those funds, what you're paying for, is not potentially suspicious or fraudulent. When we talk about false positive ratios, the benefit there from a Visa perspective is the global data lens, right? So we're seeing vast amounts of data. I mentioned 900 million transactions a day. That's happening across the global network. And we are picking up on what we call indicators across that network to understand what is true positive, what is a false positive. And so along that transaction journey, it's all happening in near real time. Blink of an eye, we're identifying anomalies that could be true indicators of fraud, reducing the friction, but providing just the right amount of smart friction in that transaction lifecycle to provide for that consumer trust, while also at the same time blocking any fraudulent transactions. The other benefit from a network perspective that Visa has, and you'll see this with any card transactions, is the back end. If there is a dispute, if there is a suspicious fraud transaction, there's also well-ingrained processes and policies in place where that customer trust is still hardened, it's still there, because if there was a fraudulent transaction, if there was a suspicious transaction, we can work with our clients and make sure that those funds are recovered.
I'd like to understand, what are the new risks that the augmentation of players in the transaction bring towards payments in general?
I think it's from a risk perspective, as a risk officer, I think one of the key elements is not only what are the risks, what are the opportunities. Anytime we're looking at new customers, new clients, new players operating across the ecosystem, it's important to ensure we have a true understanding what is the value add that's coming into the ecosystem, because that customer experience, that CX, if you will, is critical for the overall value add of that total experience in making a purchase or receiving funds in a trusted and secure manner. So we look at it from a customer experience perspective. True, you have new players coming into the ecosystem, augmenting everything from mobile applications, providing different insights, in addition to wallet providers, to account transactions, to different players having different platforms that are multifaceted. Ultimately, from a Visa perspective, I look at that as multi-rail. And from a payments perspective, where I see where Visa fits in is that global scale, right? We know that commerce takes place not just in a local manner, not just within a singular country, but people want to make purchases and be paid globally at all times during the day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. So from a risk perspective, what we need to be able to do is look across those rails. And I mentioned account-to-account protect. That's one of those types of capabilities that we're able to look across account-to-account rails, but also provide insights and receive insights from card transactions as well. So it's a multi-rail agnostic solution. And that's really where we are focusing, given the change that we're seeing across the ecosystem. It's not just a new solution on card rails, it's a new solution that's applicable to payments writ large. So that's how we're looking at the increased complexity across payments, is how do we provide those agnostic solutions that can apply against or for any new player operating in payments globally.
How is the industry gearing itself up to be able to address the challenges that we'll see coming perhaps 6, 12 months down the line when it comes to the exponential growth and exponential capabilities of AI?
I can give you a perfect example of what this looks like. So from a Deepfakes perspective, we ran an information campaign for customers on a feathered lamp that was really focused on identifying fraudulent use and the ability for fraudsters to use artificial intelligence for deepfake voices, for image generation, whether it's on social media, whether it's in other channels, whether it's coming through mobile applications or just phone calls. We know that scammers are using this type of technology, artificial intelligence, for all of those types of purposes. And it is becoming indistinguishable at certain points of that transaction life cycle for that customer experience, to understand what is real and what is fake. But underneath all of that, within the data, there are those true indicators. And that's what Visa is looking at. So we're looking for a indicator that something is suspicious. Is there an anomalous activity that's associated with it? Have you paid that merchant before? Are you increasing the amount at a level that is an indicator of something's different here? Is that payee something that's a new account, right? We're looking for all of those indicators. And from that, you can build a risk profile. And as I mentioned earlier, it's not something that's built over time. Those indicators have to be provided in real time. They have to inform risk and fraud teams of our customers, of our clients, but they also have to inform that decisioning that's going to influence whether or not that customer can make a payment or somebody can receive a payment. And we have to do that in the blink of an eye, even quicker than a blink of an eye. And as I mentioned, that's 900 million times a day. So that's exactly what we can do. You bring all that together and you have a great customer experience.
In your view, what is the riskiest area that you think, okay, we might have an issue here if the industry doesn't adapt fast enough?
So the one area where I do spend a lot of time with our customers is around platforming. So when we think about the changes that we're seeing across payments writ large, I mentioned multi-rail, the preparation for further integration of artificial intelligence, a potential agentic, and other forms of payments that the industry is discussing at this time. In order to prepare for that future, which is not so far off, we need to be thinking about what are the platforms that we need to place today. And so I spend a lot of times with our customer talking about what is their platform preparation, what are their multi-year plans, because in order to prepare for the future of, let's say, agentic payments, for example, you need to have platforms that can work with tokenized payments. We really need the platform today for the future of payments tomorrow. Yeah. And that pace of change is dramatic. It's coming. We're here to assist our clients in that preparation. And the outcome, again, will be a much more secure ecosystem in the future. But I think the biggest risk is if we don't start that work today.
Okay. All right, David. Now, one last question. We're super excited to have you join Baltic Fintech Days in May. Can you perhaps share with us a little teaser of what you'll be sharing with the audience on stage?
Absolutely. First and foremost, looking forward to being in Riga for the conference. What I'll be sharing is quite literally what is the pathway for the future of potential agentic commerce? What does that look like? And what are the things that are top of mind for me as a risk officer? Everything from data hallucinations that we're seeing and already talking about with large LLMs to how do we ensure that customer trust across that payments lifecycle. And I even have a few surprises that I'll add as part of the overall presentation. So please join. Looking forward to the conference and looking forward to meeting everybody that comes.
What a cliffhanger.
I have to leave one.
Absolutely. David, thank you so much for your time. And we're very, very excited to see you in Riga in May.
Chris, I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you.